Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning everyone. Me, Farah Hazika binti Baharum, and my group member Irene Natasha will be presenting about our gaming prototype called Concept Asas Pemikiran Computational, intended specially for Form 1 students who are currently learning computer science subject. And as for the content, we will start with introduction of the project and moving to the low fidelity prototype, high fidelity prototype. Why is it necessary to build the prototype? Limitations of the prototype and end with conclusion. Okay, so as we all know, the game industry has been widely known, widely popular all around the world. You know, their growth along with today's technology and market industries popularity, and they actually has successfully spread in all directions and become $1 million industries. So the developers and companies are actually competing with each other to stay on track. You know, developing games for multi-purpose field, including education. So there are lots of actually benefits of using game in education learning, and it has been around since a decade. So it is no longer rare for the teachers to use an approach to help students to have a better quality of learning and teaching in the classroom. Recently, there has been a lot of research done saying that learning through video games would bring better impacts for the quality of learning for the students in various group of age. So the importance of the play in the development of cognitive and learning also have been debated among psychologists, especially children. Um, Actually, the interest in understanding how video games in education also gives a lot of positive impact in children's cognitive development and learning. So apart from that, I think the game-based learning environment also lets the students to help in improving their decision-making skills, in which helping them to think in a short time and following the consequences of the choices in a low risk setting, and it also one of the crucial skills that we'll face in real life. For this project, we are going to use RPG, which is a role-playing game, to develop a game project for educational purpose, to help these students for better understanding in the computer science subject, and it is specially intended for Form 1 students. What is RPG actually? So RPG is an open source software for video game genre by which the role of the character will hunt in the fictional dimension. So fun fact about this RPG is that they placed second top most popular video game genres in 2019, and it also bindable by which the individual character of the game is developed and planned based on the player's choices. Okay, before the development of the game project, the process of designing the prototype takes place before moving on to the next phase in the project development, or popularly known as SDLC, which is System Development Lifecycle. So this prototyping process is actually a very crucial part in the development process, as it would give the first overview of the project. So in this project, we are proposing two types of prototype, which are low fidelity prototype and high fidelity prototype. So what is low fidelity prototype? Low fidelity prototype often paper based, and it doesn't allow user interactions, and they also range from a series of hand-drawn mockups to printouts. In theory, low fidelity sketches are quicker to create, and these low fidelity prototypes are handful in enabling early visualization of alternative design solution, which also helps to provoke innovation and improvement. Okay, this is the low fidelity prototype, which also known as paper-based sketch. As shown in the slide is the main interface of the game. So the player controls the character with the joystick in the bottom left corner. The character must go through the entire space of the library to answer all the questions in order to win. So to answer all the questions, the player must press the enter button on the right. So if the player answers the question wrong, they will lose a life, in which the player has 3 lives in a total shows up on top right of the window. So there is a time limit also to collect the question in each room of the library. Picture on the left shows the welcome text before the game starts. Okay, so the welcome page actually will appear before the game started. So the player needs to proceed by clicking the enter button to proceed to the instruction page. And at the right side of the slide is the questions need to be answered by the player. So the pop-up box containing the set of questions will pop up, and the player needs to answer the question to win the game.
What is high fidelity prototype? So it is a computer-based and usually allow realistic user interactions, and it is also as close as possible to a true representation of the user interface, and it is assumed to be much more effective in collecting true human performance data and in demonstrating actual products to clients, managements, and others. Moving on to high fidelity prototype. So the first picture on the left is the prototype, which shows introductions of the game. So when the player enters the game, this introduction will be displayed at the very beginning of the game flow. And the second picture on the right shows the prototype for game instructions. These instructions are very important as it will guide player on what they need to do throughout the gameplay. So, therefore, developer need to provide player with an instructions that would be easy for player to understand. Okay, the third picture is a prototype scene which shown in the slides. It shows how the questions will be displayed in the scene. All of the questions will be displayed at the bottom part of the scene, while the answer choices will be provided above the questions. So players are able to choose the answer by pressing the up and down key on their keyboard and press enter to select the answer. The next prototype will be shown at the end of the game after players successfully answer all 10 questions. So a message will appear on the scene. So the figure shows a message box which is designed to appear in the middle of the scene as shown in the figure.
Okay, so this is the interface of the welcome page of the game. So there are 3 options on the page, which is new game, continue, and shut down. So if the player wants to start the game, they can just click on the new game button. And if they already played the games before and they save their previous game, so they can just continue from where they left off. And if they want to end the game, they can just click shut down options. So they can just, when they click on the new game button, they will be directed to a new page to start the game. This is how the game interface will look like. Since the game includes educational elements, so we designed the interface to look like as the player was in a library. So when the player moves, a dialog box will appear to welcome the player, and then player have to press enter key to proceed. Okay, when they press the enter key, the game instructions will be displayed to guide the player on what they need to do throughout the gameplay. So in this game, there are 10 questions available, which covers Chapter 1, Form 1, Computer Science textbooks. Okay, so they have to find 10 books, which is located in the place that they are not supposed to be, and then they have to press enter to answer the questions which is available. And then after the instructions are given, they can just start playing. Can just walk around the library to find a book like this. So they have to press enter button, and when they press the enter button, the questions and the answer will be appeared. The answer choice will be displayed, so player need to choose the correct answer to proceed. If they choose the wrong answer, then they have to try again. If they press the right answer, then they can proceed to find another books, another questions to answer. Okay, they can just walk around the library to find another books. So they have to find a total of 10 books, which means that they have to answer 10 questions to end the game. So let's say this is the last questions that they answered, and then the congratulations, like a dialog box will appear, which indicates that they have successfully completed all the 10 questions. So that was the end of the game.
In these slides, I'm going to explain why it is necessary to build the prototype. As we all know, prototype is a part of design phase in software development lifecycle (SDLC), where the developer will brainstorm to design the flow of the project. Hence, when developing a product, this prototype is a very important procedure to be done, as there are many advantages that will come with it. For example, the first advantage is prototypes helps the developer to get better understanding of the purpose of the project, as it provides solid visualization, which is very helpful for developers to understand the aim, objectives, and intended targeted user of the project. Second is, as prototype is the first outline designed to guide the entire project, hence it works as an advantage as it provides developers with ideas for overall flow of the project. When the overall idea is obtained, it is easier for developers and the team to understand the project, communicate, and discuss on the project flow, as well as to test and improve the project design in an early stage of the project development timeline. Next, by creating prototype, it also enables the developers to obtain early feedback. This is because, as the completed prototype was displayed to targeted users, developers can gain their early reviews of the product. This is important as the user's opinions on the project is very crucial to ensure the successfulness of the project, as these targeted users are the ones that will use the complete project in the future. Therefore, this prototype can help to collect idea or any perspective from users' point of view, which could be used when implementing the project. By implementing those ideas gained by the targeted users in the project, it would ensure that the developed project would be more user-friendly approach. Moreover, when users suggest a new idea for the project during the prototype presentations, developers can save time and cut costs for improvements to be made as these prototypes are in the early stage of the project development. Last but not least, by using high-fidelity prototype to test ideas of the project with the targeted audience, the developers can gain more specified response and further understand the proposed project, as high-fidelity prototypes are interactive and highly functional.
Despite of the successful of building the prototype of the game, there are actually a few limitations and difficulties during the process of prototyping the entire project. First and foremost, the time consumed when planning the prototype is actually quite longer due to the use of high fidelity prototype. Hence, the use of digital software such as RPG Maker VXAs actually requires installation process. The second one is for the low fidelity prototype. Instead of basic paper-based sketch, we can actually be option for any other software, for example, Balsam Mockups or 3D Sketch, to create more professional, neat, and creative low-fidelity prototype. The last one is the number of questions for the game is not very, as we are actually more focusing on completing and creating the interface and the visualization of the scene of the prototype.
As a conclusion, the use of high-fidelity prototype and low-fidelity prototype are both being proposed in as a part of designing process in system development lifecycle, and it is so important to help the team during the process of developing the project application. So in the future for this project, for the targeted users, instead of just focusing on Form 1 students, the range can be widened up to Form 1 until Form 5 so that everyone can learn computer science subject in an engaging way. As for the software used while developing the prototype, which is RPG Maker VXAs, since it is a free software, there are limited events that can be used in one scene, which is only 10 events per scenes only. Therefore, to create more events, developer can pay additional money to upgrade to a more developed version of RPG Maker. Thank you.